Hey guys, I apologize for how crazy my hair looks right now. We've had a full morning already. It is now 11:24. I've been up since 6:40. I've been up since 6:15. So this morning Michaela had an appointment. She had an appointment, so we had to come out here. So now we are actually going to do what's called a reflection exam, which if you guys don't train with the program, you might not know what this is. But basically, the program that I work for, that Michaela is like partially training through, we do, and you can have an exam that's sort of like the public access test, except it's like kind of like, let's see where we're at and let's see what the board thinks that you should work on. So it's basically a public access test. The only difference is she's going to be allowed to, basically like she will lose a couple points for these things, but it's not necessarily like this is the public access test. She's going to be on her tools and she's going to have treats, and I'm going to be giving instruction as well, versus normally I can just ask them to do something and then I'm not supposed to give any instruction. So there's a couple different places we have to stop in order to get all of the things on the test done, and in order to also make sure that we're going places that she's never been before. So that's a little difficult. So the first place we're stopping is, both of us are hungry, and there's a couple things on the list where she has to be in a food court or restaurant. So we are actually going to start there. I'm going to do a voiceover kind of explaining everything about when we're doing it. So I'm the wrong direction, man. Yeah. We will see you guys in a few minutes. So similar to the mobility assessment and the public access test, with reflection exams, we get a letter back from the board that basically tells us how we did. The difference is, this one they actually tell you the points, and this is how many points you missed because of this, and this is how many points you got in the end, which means either you passed or you didn't pass. So basically, that is going to be a kind of the structure of how I'm going to structure this video. So if you are, at all curious as to how they grade public access tests, this is a pretty good indicator for that. So the first thing that they assess during these assessments is the actual grooming and the hygiene of the dog. So obviously, Sunshine passed this with flying colors, no problem. But in case your dog has something like allergies and they have dry spots, that might be, something to look into prior to getting the assessment done. Or if they are shedding quite a bit, I usually recommend that people brush their dogs, bathe their dogs the night before, clip their dog's nails, Dremel their dog's nails if they can do that. We did all of that the night before her reflection exam, and she did really well. The other thing that we kind of got bonus points on is the nail polish that I use on her. The little purple nail polish is called No Scratch nail polish, and it's supposed to help prevent dogs from scratching up the floors because it puts kind of a coating on their nails. So we did get kind of some good, hooray, you're trying to take care of, public places, extra points on that. So definitely think about those sorts of things. Maybe even something like a bodysuit like Arlo wears might be a good idea if your dog kind of sheds quite a bit. The second thing that they look at is the living environment and the transportation of the dog. So they want you to kind of show them around your car, or if you take a bus, different places, or a subway, they want you to show them around there. And then in terms of living environment, they want you to show kind of the areas in the house where the dog is allowed. So we had to show basically the whole apartment to them via video so that they can kind of see the environment that the dog lives in. So those sorts of things might be important for you to tidy up before, or, just make sure that it is, habitable for a dog. Some of the things that you might want to make sure aren't issues are if you have kids and they have toys on the floor, or, if there's a mess on the floor or something, that might get you docked some points. Some other things that I don't necessarily have video clips for include positioning. So basically how the leash tension is, where the dog is in terms of when they're heeling or when they're stopped.
dog working temperament, so like how the dog acts when, you know, the handler isn't necessarily actively focused on working them. That sort of, you know, tells them if they're happy when working or comfortable, that kind of thing. The heel, as well as things like vehicle manners. So those are things that I didn't necessarily save the clips for this video, but you can trust me that Sunshine did fine. So I'm now going to show you some of the clips that we have to sort of show you the rest of the test. For this next section, what we want to see is a slow and steady, calm movement when we're entering and exiting a building with these automatic doors. So before, Sunshine was kind of having some issues. She would sort of rush through the doors, but she's doing quite a bit better. The only time is right here. She has a little bit of an issue with, you know, when someone is sort of walking towards her, she's unsure of what to do. So in the past, she has had a lot more struggles than this, so I'm actually pretty proud of how she did in this section. She did fine. Basically, these doors, you know, since they close automatically, I think some dogs get a little bit afraid of them, but she did relatively good. In this clip, we watch Sunshine walk from one end of a food vendor stall to the other in the food court. Basically, what we're looking for is that she stays in a heel and doesn't like sniff the air or sniff toward the food vendor, and she keeps her focus on, you know, walking in front of her in the heel or on her handler, basically just ignoring the food. So this can be difficult for a lot of dogs, especially because their noses are so strong, but Sunshine did pretty good. In this section, Sunshine is laying patiently in a downstay, waiting for Michaela's food order to be completed. So they had stayed here for about almost 15 minutes, and she basically just kind of stayed there and was being very good. So this is sort of what we want. We want them to be able to be calm and patient when asked to basically do nothing. A lot of dogs struggle with this. Arlo definitely struggled with this when he was younger. Toby struggled with it, but Sunshine does pretty good. She does get a little antsy, but here she did fine. In this section, we ask Sunshine to tuck under a table while there's food above her being eaten. She really, really struggled with the little base of the table. She did not want to lay on it. And I will admit that we have not worked on tuck too much, but we've worked on it enough to where I would think that she wouldn't struggle with this. But this just kind of shows, you know, the reflection exam shows you what you need to work on. So we definitely need to work on this because she was quite uncomfortable with those table things there. But other than that, she did okay. She did pretty good staying for the duration of the meal. She did kind of poke out from the table a little bit, which got us docked a few points, but nothing too bad. Here we have Sunshine walk past other people who are eating. I tried really, really hard not to show too many like faces or anything, but she's walking past a bunch of other customers who are eating, or there's, you know, kids or those sorts of things. So a lot of distracting environments for her, and she's just kind of expected to walk by and not sniff. She did pretty good. There was a couple times where she like looked up from her heel a little bit, but that's okay. We expect the dogs to be sort of observant, just making sure that they're not being disruptive. So obviously she did really good passing the baby thing right there. So that was good. And then over here we have her actually walk down through more of the food vendors. And here is where she does a little bit more of the sniffing than we would like, which is okay. We're still working on it. We haven't worked in too many food places yet. And again, that's kind of what the reflection exam is for, is to just kind of show you, here's what you need to work on. Here's what you need to do. Here's where your dog is still struggling. So basically she just kind of does a little bit of sniffing, but nothing too horrible. She wasn't being too disruptive. So we did get docked a few points here, but nothing absolutely terrible or anything like that. Here we have another downstay, and I introduce a distraction by actually taking Arlo and walking away down an aisle behind her. So, that might distract her a little bit, and then I come back around the other side. Good job. And then here, we sort of expect something similar to the CGCU, where the handler and the dog are able to cross a, quote-unquote street. Obviously, you can see we're in a parking lot here, but she crosses the street with Sunshine, heeling, sort of, calmly, just not pulling, not making it difficult for Michaela to cross the street with her, but she is attentive to her handler and, crossing the street with her in a good heel, because normally you would want to do this with cars around, but we really didn't have any available, so we did our best. And then here I asked for another calm entry into the building, which of course Sunshine delivered. She did pretty good. She did not rush through the doors or anything like that. You can see Michaela's carrying a few bags. Some of those are actually fragile. So, it's really good that Sunshine was able to be calm. She was really good with healing in the mall and keeping her attention focused on Michaela even when there were distractions around. And then we took the opportunity to go into this little arcade in the mall here to do some of our, the rest of the test items. The arcade is a really good environment for this sort of test because it has a lot of flashing lights going on, a lot of kids running around. And here, actually, we did have quite a bit of a startle response from Sunshine. She was pretty afraid of what happened. It might not look like much, but she was pretty startled. So the kid basically had screamed or something, and it startled Sunshine a little bit, but she made a really good recovery. So that's the important part. Being startled is one thing, but making the good recovery is a lot more important because, dogs are still dogs, they'll still startle, but a service dog will be able to recover after that. So we then sort of started working on the rest of the test items inside of the arcade area. So I had her walk up to this little tight space and walk through with Sunshine. We wanted to make sure Sunshine wasn't going to pull through it or anything like that. And, this was sort of their unusual obstacle. There is an unusual obstacle on the test, and we have to make sure that the dog can sort of manage that unusual obstacle because every environment is different, and Sunshine did fine with that. This section is the section that I usually have most people lose the most possible points. And it's because it can be really difficult. The commands are maybe one of the hardest parts. So I take Michaela's cards, which are where she keeps all of her, the list of her commands to practice. We all have those. We have those little index cards with all the command names. And I give her them at random. So I tell her them in no certain order. And I have Sunshine perform them in a distracting environment, which is the arcade. So here she is performing some of those commands. She's performing a downstay, that sort of thing. And we just kind of see how Sunshine does in that distracting environment where she's basically being expected to work, even though she might be really distracted and really overstimulated. Overall, in this section, she actually didn't lose very many points. She did fine. There was one thing with deep pressure therapy where she does really not like the duration of deep pressure therapy. She likes to get up and move around and readjust quite often, which, obviously we don't want, but that's okay. We will work on it, and she didn't lose too many points from that. This we were pretty excited about. We had just started teaching retrieval, so for her to be able to perform this was pretty cool. So she got full points on that one. Because Sunshine will eventually need to be off-leash for some of her tasks, there is a required off-leash section to the reflection exam and the public access test. So basically, this is that off-leash section. She's asked to perform a couple different positioning moves, like sit and heel, that sort of thing. And she did relatively well for a dog that hasn't, we haven't worked on too much off-leash work with her yet. So she was also asked to do a recall as well. She got relatively distracted. But that's okay. We will definitely work on that. During this section, Sunshine is asked to heel nicely down the stairs in order to allow Michaela to, walk down the stairs in a calm and organized way and not drop any of the things that she's holding. So Sunshine does pretty good here. She doesn't really have too many issues with going downstairs. She still doesn't really have entirely, rear end awareness just yet, but she's definitely getting there. She does good with the stop on the stairs while I go ahead. She doesn't rush ahead or anything. And then, when I'm down there, she does pretty good with walking down the stairs with Michaela. So the front view is also fine. Then for this section, she is expected to load up into the car in a calm manner and allow, the seatbelt to be put on her, and so that she can ride safely in the vehicle. So I hope that was, a relatively helpful example of a reflection exam. I know that we didn't show you everything on the exam. That's just mostly because of time. Otherwise, this video would have been like 4 or 5 hours long because I had a lot of footage at the end of the day. But I just wanted to show you guys kind of some of the bigger parts of the exam. There's a couple things that I didn't show, like there's, how she has manners in the bathroom, like when she goes in the bathroom stalls and when she's, when Michaela's washing her hands, that kind of stuff. And, manners for getting out of the car, that sort of thing. However, maybe eventually, when she does her second reflection exam, I'll show some more of that if you guys are interested. But I just sort of wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of some of the things that we do for the reflections exam. So I hope that video was helpful and interesting. If you guys are looking to do some sort of pre-public access test for your dog just to kind of see where they're at, it's pretty simple. Honestly, just do, you can look up public access tests online and they have a lot of different options, and you can just kind of see where your dog is at in terms of public access skills, in terms of commands, in a real environment. I would recommend bringing someone with you to film so that, you can get kind of a really good baseline for where to start when you're practicing, that sort of thing. That's part of the reason that we film a lot of stuff with our dogs, is so that we can, see where they started and see their improvement. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I will do, another one when we do one of our other reflections exams, or when we do the mobility test and the public access test, that kind of stuff. So yeah, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see videos similar to that one. Hit the like button if you liked this video, and we will see you guys in whatever I make next.